Hello everyone, welcome to the self-knowledge lectures, to the Phase B lectures. Today we are going to see the lecture number 18 of Phase B, which is Theosophy, Spiritism, and Medium. So today we are going to be studying these three schools. You're gonna see that the objective of today's lecture, or the objectives, let's say, is first know these schools, to get to know what is this about, what is Theosophy, Spiritism, and mediumship about, and that we get to understand why they don't allow us to reach the self-realization of the being. So that is very important that we understand that in case that we are in any of these schools, so we are linked to any of them, we need to get to understand where they actually lead us, so that we learn, now that we are receiving this knowledge, to get to know ourselves, to get to awaken our consciousness, so we learn not to mix them with this knowledge. Okay, so this is the objective of today's lecture. So let's immediately start by studying Theosophy. What is Theosophy? And well, you're gonna see that the word Theosophy comes from the Greek roots Theos, that means God, and Sophie or Sophia, which means wisdom. So this word, what means is, or Theosophy, what refers to is to the wisdom of God. And well, this school, the Theosophical school, actually appeared in Russia in the late 19th and early 20th centuries. And this school was founded by Elena Petrovna Blavatsky, who was an initiated who had as her mission to prevent the dialectical materialism of Karl Marx and Lenin and, Engels, to end all the spiritual, from ending all the spiritual principles of the planet. So the work of the Theosophical school was to fight against skepticism, since this dialectical materialism actually came with the mission of leading the whole world to total atheism through the materialistic logic and the intellectualism, by convincing the whole world of that God or the spiritual doesn't exist. So this Theosophical school had the objective of scientifically demonstrating that the soul does exist. That was like the mission of these initiated Elena Petrovna Blavatsky and the Theosophical school. So this school was actually dedicated to teaching and practicing different types of, for example, parapsychology, the different powers of the mind, this different psychic phenomena. They were teaching, for example, astral projection, hypnotism, telepathy, the materialization of specters and mysterious voices. Also, postmodern appearances. They were teaching about the awakening of the faculties that are latent in all people, and so on. But if we study this doctrine, we realize that the objective is not the self-realization of the being, since it doesn't teach the three factors for the revolution of the consciousness. So the Theosophical school doesn't teach how to eliminate the psychological defects where 97% of our consciousness is trapped and conditioned. And they don't teach chastity, nor the need to create existential bodies of the being through the suprasexuality, so we can, or our consciousness can have presence in the different dimensions of the nature. And although this school spread throughout the world thanks to this sacrificial work done by its students, It doesn't focus that third factor for the consciousness revolution to teach others to seek their own self-realization. So you can easily see that it doesn't lead really to the self-realization of the being. Actually, the Theosophical school, for example, recommends with vegetarianism. They teach that mechanical evolution will lead us to enlightenment, but they don't teach that there is an involution, and they don't teach the need to revolutionize oneself in order to free oneself. So, as we saw, it only sought to keep the spiritual hopes alive and latent so that the people wouldn't fall into the most absolute materialism with this dialectical, materialism of Karl Marx, Lenin, Engels, etc. And well, now let's see and take a look at this thing of the Spiritism or spiritualism. You can see that this is like a system of belief or religious practice that is based on the supposed communication with the spirits of the dead, especially through mediums. And this was a doctrine that was developed in the second half of the 19th century, in which figures such as Allan Kardec, for example, participated. And this school teaches the technique to achieve communication with the soul of the dead, or what they call the spirit of the disembodied. But it happens that what the spiritualists call spirit is not the real being of that disembodied person, but is a psychological I or a legion of defects of a disembodied person. Um, Other times, those who attend the seances are entities from the infradimensions, demons that come and pose as saints, as enlightened masters, and so on, in order to give favors to those who attend there in exchange for linking them so they can constantly steal the energy from that kind of people. So that type of persons that goes there to these seances and receive favors from these entities, they are people that are constantly suffering from, for example, the sleep paralysis. Why is that? Because they are now linked to these entities, and these entities have the right to go and steal your energy because they did a favor to you. And well, through these demons or through the defects of the disembodied person who arrives at the seances, the people there receive information. Also, sick people get cured. Material problems are solved, etc. So, in a seance, several people gather around a table and, holding hands, they invoke in chorus the presence of a certain spirit. And usually the spirit is asked to manifest itself through the movements of things, noises, etc., or by using tables like a Ouija. And I say spirit, I want to clarify that because as we have studied in the previous lecture, the spirit of a person is the conscious part of that person, is the real being, is the 3% of consciousness. And it is not that subjective thing, that that unconscious thing that comes to these types of practices. So, when the disembodied person takes possession of one of the participants who lends his physical body for his manifestation, this person is called a medium because he serves as a medium between the disembodied and the physical world. And when this spirit takes possession of the body of the medium, he begins to speak with the voice that he had when he was alive. And those that present there ask different questions, and the disembodied person answers all the questions that are asking. And well, the biggest problems that these practices represent is that most of the people who participate in these practices end up creating dependency, since they get used to having all their physical and spiritual concerns, answered. So they don't really seek the guidance of their own inner being. Also, that, as I was saying, they are linked to negative entities, and as they temporarily resolve their situations, they usually recommend other people to attend these places, leading, by doing so, more and more people to become dependent of these practices. Usually, all these people are convinced that they have communicated with a saint or a god. None of them suspect that it is a demon or it is the psyche or like the legion of a disembodied person who doesn't have a vehicle of physical expression, and for that reason, using the medium or the table. And in the different healing procedures that sometimes take place there, they can even perform surgeries, and many of those healed are actually cured. And by this, they increase their dependence on these kind of procedures. And well, the schools of spiritualism, because of this, grew enormously in the last century and have been recruiting millions of believers and followers. And well, as we can see, like at a glance, this procedure in no way seeks the self-realization of our being. In no case is the elimination of psychological defects taught here, nor it is given knowledge on how to achieve scientific chastity, etc. And well, as the Master Jesus taught, by their works you will know them. So if we see the kind of work that the spiritualists do, they are all black magic works, like divination, advice, love spells, breakups, prayers, rituals, the Ouija board thing, Ouija board reading, black magic, all of those black magic works. Candle rituals, domination, infliction of diseases, cures. Those are like the works that you can receive there. And you can easily see that these are not at all a black magic thing or something that is going to enhance or develop your spiritual part or your consciousness. So that is like the Spiritism. Let's now see what is the medium. The medium is a passive receptive subject who gives his matter, his physical body, and his motor center to those metaphysical ghosts from beyond the grave. The medium is that person through whom that entity is going to manifest in the sense. And in order for the entity to enter the medium's body, the medium turns his astral body forward so that the entity can enter through the motor center. And this medium, this kind of person are, people who have like a great sensitivity that allows them to perceive the parallel planes to this one, and that can communicate with entities that move in these lower dimensions. And many of them are convinced that they, that through these procedures, they are really helping others with what they call their gift. And well, in addition to that, many are totally convinced that they are lending their bodies so that superior beings can manifest themselves through their bodies. However, it is very important to understand, and this is like very important, for the White Lodge in the superior worlds, each human body, whether male or female, is qualified as the living temple of a master or a divine spark. That temple that the body of a person is highly respected by all hierarchies. Hence, the importance of understanding that no master of the White Lodge expresses himself through a foreign vehicle. So, a superior being would never ever manifest himself through a foreign physical body. When a master needs to manifest or needs to come to this third dimensional world, he first sends his person or physical body to prepare, and later he can manifest through his own vehicles, but he comes through his own house, not someone else's house. That is something that is like very important to know. And lending the body to be a medium actually generates very strong karmas, and the most common karmas of mediumship are epilepsy and madness. Actually, all epileptics were mediums in their previous lives. And even after death, the medium continues to be being possessed by demons. Since what happens that at first he gives his body like at will for these spirits to possess him. However, later the entities continue to possess his body without his consent, like without his yes, it's his consent, because it's a seal that is there that everybody has. This medium like break that at will, and now these spirits can come and enter as if they are, at home. And after a certain time, that person ends up completely distancing himself from his own divine part, and they were actually entered the involution of the infernal worlds in this state. So every person who has karma of mediumship will have to disintegrate those works, working all those psychological defects or psychic elements of mediumship, and of course paying for the karma with sacrifice for humanity. And this is the information of this lecture. As we saw, these schools, although they seem very attractive because they seem to have the answers to problems that we may have in life, they really don't lead us to achieve that purpose of our existence, which is to become one with our own divine being. So the invitation is that we reflect on this topic, and that we encourage ourselves to study, for example, our theosophical selves. Those who think that the awakening of consciousness is about experiencing the paranormal phenomena, or that it is about developing powers, and therefore, with this kind of defects, we move away from what is really important: to die in ourselves, to be born spiritually by wisely using our sex, and to sacrifice for humanity. Also, we must study our spiritualist defects, and those are the ones that always lead us to look for someone external to give us a solution and to give us the answer for that we really must look for inside with our own divine being. So are those defects in us that when we have a question, when we need to understand something, when we need to solve something, instead of going and asking our inner being in a meditation, in a conscious astral projection, we go and we look for outside someone who who appears to be wise, to be advanced, and we go and ask that person. Those are our spiritualist selves. And in addition to the fact that if we have participated in these seances, these spiritualist sessions, we must work on the defects that led us to participate in those practices. And finally, well, of course, observe our medium selves, those who want to generate dependence on other people, either by interpreting, for example, their astral experiences, or by bringing them reasons from the internal worlds. That might be the being show me that you or the certain master asked me to tell you. In that way, we are like presenting ourselves to be like the medium between the internal worlds or superior worlds and the person. So if we have those psychological defects, we must like work on them. We must know that each person has an internal being that is his guide, that is his master, and that every person must only follow their own inner being. And well, so far, the explanation of this very interesting topic, I will remain attentive to any question that you may have about it. And in the next lecture of Phase B, we are going to be studying another very interesting topic. We are going to be talking about that character who has been known as Lucifer, as devil, and Satan, to understand what this represents. What is Lucifer, devil, and Satan? And this is a very interesting topic, so don't miss it. And well, thank you very much. This has been all for today. And well, see you the next time. Ciao, ciao.